on the 7th of December 2014. 19-year-old Jessica Chambers died holding her mother's hand in a Memphis hospital after suffering horrible burn injuries to 98% of her body. She was found the previous day when emergency services got a call reporting a vehicle on fire on Heron Road in Panola County. She was force-fed gasoline and had it run up her nose so the fire could burn her from the inside. She was also covered completely on the outside of her body before being set alight.
On December the 6th of 2014, you responded to a car fire.
Yes, sir. When I arrived, I pulled on up to where the car was on fire. And
what did you see?
I saw Jessica standing in the road.
What was this person wearing?
When I seen her, she had nothing on but her pants. I got out and I got a blanket and she had her arms out, was coming towards me saying, "Help me, help me, help me."
Nicole, I want you to describe for this jury, what did she look like? What was the condition of Jessica Chambers?
Her hair was fried out like she had stuck it in a light socket. And she had black all over her face. Her body was severely burned. And I wrapped the blanket around her to conceal her. She reached out for my hand. I held on to her hand. And her mouth, inside her mouth was just charred black. And when I asked her name, she said Jessica Chambers. And she was not recognizable to me. I know what Jessica Chambers looked like. Knowing this is Cortland, I said, "This is Jessica Chambers, not Chambers."
In all your years of being a firefighter, have you ever seen anything like this?
No, sir. I hope I never see anything like it again.
Cole, let me ask you one final question. As of today, are you currently on the Cortland Fire Department?
Sir, I'm not.
The course of the investigation was heavily followed by the media due to the nature of the crime, and unsurprisingly, police were determined to figure out who the culprit was. Over 100 people were questioned. Jessica Chambers was a 19-year-old cheerleader and loved greatly by all of her family and friends. However, Jessica's life was not that of a normal cheerleader. Throughout her teen years, she had gotten involved with drugs, with some reports claiming that she had even sold them. Her father, Ben Chambers, has been accused of being a racist, which Jessica seemed to rebel against with her choice of boyfriends. Police spoke with Jessica's past and current boyfriends to begin eliminating people from the suspect pool. Travis Sanders, her boyfriend at the time, was quickly eliminated when police found he was incarcerated at the time of her death. Brian Rudd was interviewed and ruled out when police discovered he was in a completely different state. They moved on to a man named Quentin Tellis. Although he had only known her for a few weeks after meeting at the gas station across from his home, he stated that a man named Derek Holmes had an unhealthy obsession with Jessica, and Quentin expressed concern that he may have been stalking her. Police knew of Derek Holmes already as he had been convicted in 2012 for exploitation of children. This was a big break for the police, considering Jessica had named Eric, or Derek, set her on fire before she passed. However, they could not find anything connecting Derek to Jessica and moved on in the investigation when confirming his alibi. Police located CCTV footage from the gas station opposite Quentin's home. It showed Jessica only 2 hours before the fire that claimed her life. Police noticed a familiar face in the footage. George Mister, aka Boone, was brought in for questioning multiple times by police after finding out that he was a friend of Jessica and they regularly hung out. The media interview I am about to show is after he was released from the police station for questioning.
George Mister and Rachel Tudor say they're the latest to be questioned in Jessica Chambers' murder.
I took a lie detector test. I took a swab test.
Investigators wouldn't confirm the pair was questioned, but a jail log shows Mister's name on the date in question. Tudor isn't listed, but I did see her in the jail parking lot.
They questioned me about a text message that I sent Jessica 2 days before she died. And I guess that was why they may have thought something. I don't know.
These two say they both know Jessica.
How'd you know Jessica?
She's a good friend. Yeah.
But tell me they have no idea how she was set on fire and found near her burning car in Cortland.
It's saying that
It was a lover's quarrel.
it was a lover's core. You know, a lover's core. That's they questioning about.
District Attorney John Champion estimates around 100 people have been questioned.
I knew Jessica pretty well, and we hung out, and we had our differences, ups and downs, but, you know, none of us would really ever imagine doing something like that to her.
We don't know. You know, don't know what the problem was that got her killed.
Over the course of the investigation, police raised the reward for information leading to her killer multiple times. After 14 months of following leads that always seemed to end up in dead ends, they decided to focus on the CCTV footage again. They noticed that after Jessica left the gas station, she pulls in across the street onto Quentin Tellis' property. After looking more into Quentin, they found their mobile data location places them with each other that night. His DNA was found on her car keys, which were found ditched not too far from the crime scene. However, there has been speculation and controversy over who found the keys and how. According to a statement that Jerry King gave to the police, he found the keys in a small ditch off the side of the road whilst walking down Main Street with his daughter. He noticed a pink rope with a set of keys attached to them and decided to pick them up. He noticed the key ring that had Ben's auto and diesel repair and connected the keys to Jessica as he knew her father, Ben Chambers. He put the keys in the bottom of his daughter's stroller and went home. He then stated that his girlfriend, Mary Turner, found them and called the police to hand them in. Jerry King, who has multiple priors including DUIs, resisting arrest and grand larceny, changed his statement from the original written statement police received during his testimony in trial, which we will come back to later. Police interviewed Quentin and presented him with the evidence, which was the CCTV footage, the DNA on the car keys, the mobile data location, and the fact that Quentin had deleted all the message exchanges between him and Jessica from his phone, and that he had changed clothes 3 times the day she was murdered. He denied the murder, admitted he saw her that night briefly, but that was it.
Come to my house. I would tell us when she picked you up. Where'd y'all go? We went to Taco Bell back to my house. So straight up and straight back. Yes.
Police allowed him some time with his mother before they took him back to jail.
She showed me all these stuff people did. That's what I mean. I'm trying to do it. He said, today, don't charge you. I ain't doing it. I drove a car to the liquor store one time. That's it. That was me killing him, no.
Quentin Tellis was also a suspect in another murder and was already behind bars after admitting to burglary. Vietnamese student Mandy was found stabbed to death in her apartment. Quentin Tellis was caught on CCTV with her at a pharmacy the day before police believed she was killed. Her neighbours also said that he was seen entering and leaving her property at least 3 times around the time police believed she was dead. They couldn't charge him with the murder due to insufficient evidence, but he admitted to using her debit card after her death. In October 2017, Quentin Tellis went on trial after pleading not guilty to the murder of Jessica Chambers. The evidence that the prosecution had was circumstantial at best, and the defense relied on the fact that Jessica stated to nearly 8 emergency workers before she died, "It was Eric." They explained every piece of evidence the prosecution had put against them. The DNA on the car keys, he had driven her car with her to the liquor store in the week leading up to her death. The clothes changes were explained through normal causes of insecurities and general dirt that had gotten onto him throughout the day. The mobile location data was the biggest piece of evidence that they had to explain. It was suggested that the mobile data was inaccurate as Quentin's sister lived less than a mile from the crime scene, which could skew the data. The question in trial was the motive. Prosecutors indicated that Quentin had only known Jessica for a short amount of time, but had actively pursued her and Jessica kept rejecting him. They stated that they drove out there together where Quentin tried to get with her, and when she rejected his advances again, he became aggressive and strangled her. He thought she was already dead by this point and set her on fire with the car to try and get rid of the evidence.
Now, the evidence will show that for at least the next 20 minutes or so, that there were at least 8 responders who spoke to her. And the evidence will show that Jessica Chambers repeatedly talked to 8 different people, if not more. They asked what her name was. Jessica, she said. They asked, who did this to you? And what she did was she told them who did this to her. Eric set me on fire. In quotations. She didn't say any other name. She didn't mention any other person. What she said was that Eric did this to me. Now, can you imagine, as minutes passed, responder after responder talked to her? And we can't diminish this fact. Now, I know that Mr. Champion stated to you that everything else will show that it will change your mind about this. I submit to you that nothing that the state will present to you will change your mind. Because once you do hear from each one of these responders who are out there, once you hear exactly how they spoke to her, how she said she didn't know the person's last name. She knew Quentin. His name is Quentin Tellis. She did not say that day.
In Jerry King's testimony, he stated that he found the keys 2 days after Jessica's death and picked them up because he thought they would be valuable because of their shininess. Instead of putting them in the bottom of the stroller like he originally stated, he said he gave them to his daughter to play with on the way home. His girlfriend, Mary, was the one who recognized the keys from the auto repair keyring and called Deputy Tyler Millis. The deputy then admits that he visited Mr. King's home and returned to the scene where the keys were originally found with Jerry King. He put the keys back where he found them, and the deputy pictured them as part of the crime scene evidence. There was a mixture of 4 DNA male profiles on Jessica's car keys and 3 unidentified, the 4th that could not exclude Quentin Tellis' DNA. It ended in a mistrial due to a hung jury.
I have been informed that the jury has reached a verdict in this case. Is that correct? Did you all select a foreman? All right, sir. Let's see. Mr. Lampkin, is that correct?
That is correct.
All right. I don't need to know what your verdict was, but I just need to know that all 12 jurors agree on that verdict.
Yes, sir, we did.
All right. Would you hand the verdict, please, to the court, to the clerk? Excuse me.
We all didn't agree on it.
Sir?
You said we all agreed on that verdict. We didn't.
All 12, the verdict has to be unanimous. So all 12 did not agree on the verdict? Is that what you're telling me, sir?
Yeah, I didn't agree he was in.
All right. I'd ask you to step back into the jury room, please. Pass the verdict, please, to the clerk.
It went to trial again a year later in 2018, which ended in the exact same way. Quentin Tellis was sentenced to 10 years for the burglary and misuse of a debit card and possession of marijuana with intent to sell. Since the media was heavily following the case, this meant it garnered attention online. People found some very interesting points that I will briefly go into now. In the case that the state are building against Quentin Tellis for the murder of Mandy, they discovered that his best friend is called Eric Hill. Quentin Tellis' sister dated Eric for an undisclosed amount of time, and Quentin eventually ended up marrying Eric's cousin, Chiquita Jackson, in 2015. People have speculated that Quentin and Eric both killed Jessica together, which is why she named Eric as her killer before she died. On top of this, Eric Hill was charged with conspiracy to murder in the Mandy Zhao case. He testified against Quentin, but later recanted his statements, claiming it was a false confession. Another online theory is that Quentin lied about his name to Jessica and called himself Eric because he was in a serious relationship at the time. People have stated he lied about his name to other women and had also used the name Eric. Due to Jessica's father working as a mechanic for the local sheriff's department, people have speculated it was a gang killing. This is backed up by evidence that Jessica herself stated to her father at least 10 or 15 times leading up to her death, "Everyone thinks I am snitching because you work for the police department." There was no evidence to back up that it was a gang killing. They have also claimed that her own father did this to her, as he was a racist and didn't like her choices in boyfriend. One forum claimed that on the weeks leading up to and the day before Jessica's death, there was an outrage in the local community of people of colour. Apparently they had been calling for the killing of family members of white police workers. Someone who goes by the name Tipu Itawatis Latrice apparently made more than one murderous comment on Facebook. On November 30th, she shared an obviously fake news story about a cop killing a baby after mistaking the dummy for a gun to the timeline of Sandy Rudd, Jessica Chambers' ex-boyfriend's auntie, Brian Rudd. The woman behind the Tipu account is speculated to be Tiana Rudd, the wife or girlfriend of a man named Brajan Byers, who was seen on the CCTV footage filling up a can of gasoline at the gas station only 90 minutes before she was burnt to death. On the day before Jessica's murder on December 5th, the Tipu account shared a video from a profile that had the name Derek Jackson, along with the threat, "Somebody needs to all their kids in front of them, then set on fire, then learn that these white bitches need to be dead." In the CCTV footage, Jessica is seen walking out of sight and then comes back not long after. Sandy Rudd has previously admitted that she was there at the gas station and asked Jessica for a cigarette. People have claimed that the Rudd family are part of a dangerous and violent gang, and Jessica was a victim of an ongoing race war. However, this is all speculation and has not been proven.